You know, when Micah Parsons talks, it's not just noise, it's a wake-up call. And this week, he sent a message that every single person in the Cowboys locker room should take seriously. One word: accountability. That's what Parsons is preaching right now, and it hits different. Coming off another disappointing playoff run, it feels like this team's been looking for someone to step up and say, enough is enough. And guess what? Micah's doing it. He's not just talking about holding the younger guys accountable or the depth pieces on the roster. No, he's being clear. It's everyone, top to bottom, including himself. He said it flat out. I'm holding everyone accountable, even myself. That's the kind of leadership that doesn't just echo through the media, it echoes in the locker room, on the practice field, and in the huddle when things get tough. And if you're a real Cowboys fan, you know that's the kind of fire we've been needing for a long time. Now, this isn't just about raw emotion. There's a shift in tone here. Parsons isn't satisfied with personal accolades or individual stats. He wants wins. He wants rings. He's challenging the culture inside that building, and he's not afraid to say what needs to be said, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. That's what leaders do. He knows talent alone isn't enough. It takes mindset, discipline, consistency, and yes, accountability. And here's the thing. When your defensive centerpiece is holding everyone to the same standard, including the top guys, it makes you wonder, who's he really talking about? Could he be calling out veterans who've been a little too comfortable? Starters who haven't shown up in the biggest moments? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think Parsons is putting on notice? And if you love seeing players take leadership into their own hands, do me a favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're grinding our way to 14,000 subscribers. And with your help, we'll get there. Turn on that notification bell so you never miss a beat, because Parsons just lit a fire, and we're here for all of it. So let's dig deeper into what Parsons is really saying, because this isn't just some motivational speech to fire up the media. This feels like the start of a cultural shift inside the Dallas Cowboys. When he says, even the top guys have to be held accountable, that's not just a casual comment. That's a message. And in a locker room full of high-profile names and big personalities, that kind of statement carries weight. It makes you stop and think, has accountability really been a strength in this organization? We've seen talent come and go. We've had Pro Bowlers. We've had elite units. But what happens when the lights are the brightest? Too often this team is folded. So when Parsons steps up and says enough with the excuses, you can feel that frustration boiling over. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment that begins to change everything. Because if your best player is the one demanding more from everyone, that sets the tone for the entire building. What stands out even more is how Parsons isn't protecting egos. He's not dodging the tough conversations. He's leaning into them. He's basically saying, I don't care how many stats you put up, how much money you make, or what your name means. If you're not giving it everything, I'm coming for you. That's rare. That's powerful. And honestly, that's what this locker room has lacked for years. You know what this reminds me of? The teams that win year after year. They don't just rely on talent. They've got a culture, a standard, and leaders who enforce it every single day. Micah's trying to bring that to Dallas. But here's the question. Will the rest of the team respond? Will the so-called top guys take the challenge and rise to it? Or will they push back like we've seen in the past? I want to hear from you. Who do you think Parsons might be aiming at when he talks? About accountability at the top? Is it a shot at a veteran? A subtle call-out of a coaching habit? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's start the conversation. And if you're still watching, it means you're as passionate about this team as we are. So don't forget to subscribe. We're pushing hard toward 14,000 Cowboys diehards just like you. Hit that like button if you believe the culture in Dallas has to change this season. We're just getting started and the fire's only going to keep growing. Now, while Micah's words have definitely set the tone, there's another layer to this that's starting to get attention. And that's how this message of accountability could shake up the actual depth chart, especially when it comes to the defense. One area to keep an eye on, the cornerback room. Because even though names like Trevon Diggs and Daron Bland are pretty much locked in the rest of the pecking order, that's where it gets real interesting. You've got Jordan Lewis, an experienced vet. You've got Eric Scott Jr., the second-year guy the team's been watching closely. And now there's rookie Kalen Carson, who's been turning heads at OTAs. The question is, how is this CB room going to stack up when guys start getting pushed? Is the staff going to keep leaning on seniority, or are they going to let the best man win, no matter the name or draft status? This is where Micah's message starts to have real consequences. If accountability is truly the new standard, then every spot on that roster has to be earned, period. No more free passes based on what you did 2 seasons ago. No more guaranteed roles for veterans who've been just good enough. And from everything coming out of the building, it sounds like there's already a little competition heating up. Scott and Carson have both shown flashes. And if one of them starts outperforming a guy like Lewis in camp, that could open the door for a shakeup. But that's what you want, right? A team that doesn't just talk about being better. They prove it by putting the most hungry, most effective players on the field. Micah's challenge is bigger than just words. It's about setting a tone that forces everyone to bring it every single day. And if the DB room starts living up to that mindset, we might be looking at a defense that's deeper and tougher than we've seen in a long time. So here's my question for you. If camp started tomorrow, who's your CB3 behind Diggs and Bland? Would you give the edge to the vet like Jordan Lewis, or take a shot on upside with Scott or Carson? Let me know in the comments, and let's see who the fan base is backing. And hey, if you're loving this kind of deep dive on how leadership and roster decisions are connecting, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. We're chasing 14,000 subscribers, and every single one helps. Tap that bell too, because trust me, if a surprise move goes down in that cornerback room, you'll want to be the first to know. All of this brings us to something a little more under the radar, but just as important: the Cowboys' quiet effort to build real depth behind the stars. You know, we spend so much time talking about the big names, Parsons, Diggs, Dak, but championships aren't won by stars alone. It's the role players, the backups, the guys waiting for a shot who often make the difference when it matters most. And that's exactly where Dallas has been lacking in recent years. But this offseason feels different. There's a stronger emphasis on development. The coaches are putting young guys like Kalen Carson and Eric Scott Jr. in situations to prove themselves early. They're letting rookies get real reps at OTAs. And instead of just coasting with veterans who know the system, they're actually challenging them to compete. It's subtle, but it signals a change in how this team is thinking about roster depth. And here's where it all connects. When a leader like Micah starts holding everyone accountable, it gives the staff the green light to do the same. Suddenly, the message is unified. The tone is consistent. And the players at the bottom of the depth chart, they start to believe that they have a real shot to climb. That can completely change the energy of a locker room. Imagine being a rookie or a second-year player who sees a veteran getting pushed for snaps. That tells you something. You're not just here to learn, you're here to compete. And if that kind of mindset spreads across every position group, linebackers, safeties, even offensive spots, then you're no longer just relying on your top 10 players. You've got 53 guys pushing every day to get better. That's how real contenders are built. So let me ask you this. Do you think this new focus on depth and development is the missing ingredient the Cowboys have needed? Are we finally seeing a front office and coaching staff that values growth over comfort? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I'm curious how optimistic you are about this new energy in the building. And